200 hours broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. Thank you for joining us for the news tonight here at UBC TV. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube under the name tag UBC TV Uganda. My name is Wadulo, Arnold, Mugalu, Mohammed on sign language, and these are the news headlines. In the news tonight, NUP ends FDC's honeymoon in Parliament. Furthermore, police to fault officers who do not enforce SOPs. In other news, many flock vaccination centers for COVID-19 jab. While in sports, Bull FC edges Pro eyes a semi-final slot in the new Uganda Cup. Once again, thank you for joining us. We now give you the news in detail. Ministry of Health and experts are concerned over the public's outwit of COVID-19 SOPs non-compliance by the public. Now, this was during a vaccination exercise at the ministry's headquarters in Wandegea, Kampala, where many were seen getting their jobs.
7 days alone, we have received 1,300 COVID-19 cases.
The joint COVID-19 bulletin, which aired last night, seemed to have been a better option to send an alert, as many braced the morning and afternoon sunshine of Friday 28th May 2021 to go for vaccination at different centers.
And also we had a joint media bulletin where the media houses supported creating awareness amidst this surge in COVID numbers. And I think that is largely what has translated into these numbers.
The Ministry of Health has since Thursday 27th May 2021 been receiving those yearning for vaccination.
I would really want to encourage young people especially that please take up these jabs. They are very, very important. If you cannot put on a mask, if you cannot social distance, if you cannot sanitize your hands, then you must take a jab.
This was the scene here at the Ministry of Health headquarters offices in Kampala, as hundreds of Kampala residents left early their beds to come in this place to at least take their COVID-19 vaccination jab. However, to the Ministry of Health, this still remains a drop into the ocean.
For most people within their communities, people are testing positive, and people are getting into hospital admission. So people are starting to see the reality of what we have been communicating.
Among those who couldn't miss out were the former presidential candidate John Katumba and a colleague Samuel Senono.
Fellow youth, basically the youth, because I've seen most of them they are not here, few of them are here. Please come, because this is our generation. We are the pillars of tomorrow. We need to work hard. It is like we are in together or we perish.
I was here today to take my second dose. I'm now fully vaccinated, but that doesn't mean that if the fact that I'm fully vaccinated, I'll go back home and relax. No, I'll keep following those reasonable SOPs. The SOPs are reasonable, and I'll keep adhering to what has been put in place.
According to the Ministry of Health, non-adherence to the COVID-19 SOPs across the country is likely to lead to the loss of many lives.
I was interacting with a doctor in the ICU, and he told me that with COVID, Mr. Senono, with COVID, it's more like building a plane and at the same time flying it. So we are into uncharted, territories, murky waters. There are very many unknowns, but they are trying. So let's try. If science is proving that if you are vaccinated, in a way you will create to that herd immunity, the desired herd immunity, which is required for total annihilation of this virus, then let's go vaccination.
My other fellow presidential candidates, life matters. We prefer life. I would love all of you to come and also get a vaccination. It's not bad. You come. Now it is not politics.
However, if people comply, people stop frequenting bars that are still under lockdown. People stop attending parties without observing social distance. Then we are likely to see even a worse situation like we've seen on TV in India.
Robert, UBC News, Kampala.
In another development, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among Anet, has expressed readiness to work with the leadership of opposition in the House. This assurance comes after the appointment of the National Unity Platform's Matthias Mpuga as the new leader of opposition. Among, however, warns of unimaginable consequences in the event of indiscipline and dramatizing of parliamentary operations. These are the details.
The wait for the new opposition leadership in Parliament is no more. Matthias Mpuga of Nyendo Mukungwe in Masaka City is the new leader of opposition. His Manjia counterpart in Bududa, John Baptist Nambeshe, is the new opposition chief whip. Both are members of the National Unity Platform Party.
We only need to focus on the best, not looking for the negatives from the side of the government, but of course the positives.
Other opposition-leaning MPs have also been appointed. Mitiana Municipality MP Francis Zake is the new Commissioner of Parliament, while Medad Luega Segona is the Chairperson Public Accounts Committee. Former Chairperson LC5 Gulu, Ojara Mapendozi, is the Chairperson Local Government Accounts Committee, as Betty Namboze is headed to chair Government Assurances Committee.
And we should learn to tolerate each other. I hope we are not going to have a repeat of people breaking microphones and breaking chairs. Instead of standing on the microphone and articulate your ideas.
We, as the leadership of Parliament, are willing to work with the Honorable Mpuga. He's a very polished person, very, very polished and very hardworking and understanding. He has all the experience that is required. He's one person who can bring some kind of sanity in the House.
They are, however, warned against any acts legally and morally deemed unbecoming at Parliament.
We are going to work in harmony. We are not going to, not that we will not tolerate, but we are going to try to be patient with each other and understand each other, and we work together.
Since the return to multi-party democracy in 2006, Forum for Democratic Change FDC has enjoyed opposition leadership in Parliament, having had majority MPs in the House. With majority legislators in the House now, National Unity Platform has broken this record. Matthias Mpuga is the new leader of opposition, as expectations among veteran legislators remain high.
What role can we play in supporting the executive and the people of Uganda to move forward? If it means constitutional amendments, they should allow for that to happen. If it means reforming the agricultural program, they should allow that to happen.
The appointment of the new leadership of opposition in Parliament comes barely a week since the Speaker and Deputy Speakers of the 11th Parliament were elected. Henry Okurut, UBC.
The outgoing government chief whip Ruth Nankabira has petitioned NRM Party Secretary General Justin Kasule Lumumba over the conduct of the former Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga for undermining the Central Executive Committee's position. Now, this is after she decided to stand against Jacob Olanya as the NRM candidate to steer the 11th Parliament. Nankabira wants Kadaga to apologize to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as these details elaborate.
The outgoing National Resistance Movement chief whip and former government member of Parliament Ruth Nankabirwa wants former Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga to apologize for disrespecting his decision. This follows Rebecca Kadaga's decision to stand as independent candidate in the speakership race against the position of SEC that they all support Olanya's candidature for the top job.
There were breaches to the code of conduct. Like other people have been breaching, but this level is too high. Number two is a big position. So, and we need her in the party. So, in order for us to move smoothly, I am requesting for three things. One is an apology to the president.
The outgoing vocal government chief whip disclosed that her party has gone through trying moments during the speakership race as a party, and she needs personalities like Rebecca Kadaga, who undermines positions of the party, to be checked.
The NRM has to make sure that they don't encourage impunity, and that if we really make sure that people are told to either explain themselves or apologize, it cannot be business as usual.
Ruth Nankabwa disclosed that she's set to mend ties with the outgoing Speaker Rebecca Kadaga and push the party agenda forward.
And I will look for her as a young sister so that we cement the relationship. I'll have to look for her. And if there is anything that I did that requires an apology from me, I will offer the apology.
In the hotly contested race, Olanya garnered 310 votes against Kadaga's 197 votes. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Now, in one of our headlining stories, Uganda Police Force has re-echoed its commitment to enforcing the COVID-19 preventive measures. This comes at a time when the country is facing a second wave of COVID-19. Let's take a look.
Uganda Police Forces to strengthen its operations against those faulting COVID-19 standard operating procedures across the country. This follows an emergence of yet another COVID-19 infection wave, mainly in Kampala, Wakiso, Amuro, and Gulu, among others.
By getting you on the road after 9, we take it to the police station or a football field where we shall guard, and you leave your vehicle there, you walk on foot. And it will cut us through, cut across. We are going to do it pro rata. Whether you are a permanent secretary, whether you are a director, whether you are a businessman, whether you are a journalist, we are going to handle you in the same way. And we don't expect you to ring anywhere because nobody is going to listen to you.
Among the main faulters of the guidelines aimed at preventing the spread of COVID-19 are border riders because of their continued defiance.
But we are going to be tough on the borders. You know, for us, we are taught that discipline is self. If you don't have a self-discipline, then you will have enforced discipline.
Members of the public are also advised to consider proper observance of the set regulations before hard force projection.
Let them comply. Let them not look at the police as trying to force them into caring for their own lives. It is about our lives. Because if these facilities are full, now what do we do?
On the status of COVID-19 within the force, Uganda Police appealed to the Ministry of Health to add them more vaccines to cater for those officers spending most of their time implementing rules.
Because we are also at a risk. We meet members of public, they come to report cases. So our officers actually need the vaccines. They know, we tell them, but they are fully aware they interact with the members of public on a daily basis. So they want it more than anybody else.
Uganda Police Force is among the institutions that are severely hit by the new wave. Just recent, the force lost one of its senior officers to COVID-19 infection. The DPC Kira Police Division, Matthias Tudia Singura, succumbed to COVID-19 this week, though it's not clear whether he had received the first jab of COVID-19 vaccine. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Now, Palliative Care Association has held its annual general meeting where it selected new members of the board. These were the essential package to support children and adults with life-threatening illnesses. And they also launched a package where, actually, I'll take that again. This is where an essential package to support children and adults with life-threatening illnesses was launched.
Palliative Care Association of Uganda has launched an essential package for universal health coverage in Uganda. The package is geared at ensuring that no children and adults with life-limiting illnesses are left behind while accessing palliative care services.
Such that you should access treatment if you are sick without selling your property. For example, let me use that example, without selling your property. And we know it happens especially with such conditions or diseases like the treatment for cancer.
These will provide essential palliative care medicines, technology, supplies, and human resource development.
The people who are working towards the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals can have as a basic guide to verify that actually palliative care services are available in this country or in this health facility as they do their work.
Palliative Care Association has conducted its annual general meeting in Kampala and installed new board members to serve voluntarily. A new board member, Grace Naiga, believes that palliative care is directly linked to respect to human rights.
Even where someone has the most difficult pain, often can deal away with the pain, to say that we preserve the dignity of someone who has that kind of illness and ensure that even if they die in dignity, they die without so much pain that would otherwise be avoided.
Let the hospital have links, connections and networks with faith leaders who can offer spiritual care, with counselors who can offer counseling and support, with legal aid services.
There's no way we coverage without taking into consideration the health rights of palliative care patients.
Meanwhile, in the year 2020, PICA offered 23 scholarships for diplomas in palliative care nursing and clinical palliative care. Accomplished the implementation of 3 pain-free hospital initiatives, trained 300 persons on infection prevention and control, and as well disseminated SOPs for continuity for palliative care amidst COVID-19. World Health Organization estimates that 40 million people are in need of palliative care. Palliative care services are present in 107 districts of Uganda. Sandra Kaunde, Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Now, Uganda Revenue Authority has awarded 9 commercial banks for supporting its quest to spur Uganda's social and economic growth through improved revenue collection. Now, the awards were in 3 categories, and these are compliance, innovation, and client service.
Uganda Revenue Authority has awarded Citibank the most compliant bank accolade, Diamond Trust Bank as the best client service bank, and GT Bank as the most innovative bank. This was at the 5th annual Uganda Revenue Authority Bank Conference in Kampala. This year's event tackled the issue of transparency between the revenue body and the financial institutions.
We are resetting the use of data in our organization. There is so much information, our own data as you are a third-party data. All we are doing now is to integrate that data, analyze it, so that whatever decision and steps we take, they are guided by information and accurate information. So we are resetting our services to the taxpayer. Like the business, our private sector says the customer is the king. The taxpayer is our king. Ours is to humbly serve. So we are re-engaging our taxpayers. We are listening to them more. We want to understand their businesses so that we support them as they support us in revenue collection.
The risks of collections and remittance of tax collections by commercial banks was one of the issues discussed. The banks were urged to be nationalistic in regard to the issues of transparency.
So it's important that we look at it critically and strategically and ensure that you still retain your relationship and confidentiality, but that the customers understand that we must pay tax. And then us, if I put on my Assistant Auditor General hat, our job is to ensure that all taxes paid are properly utilized for the services of the people. That is a more difficult part.
The bankers also promised unwavering support to the revenue collecting body.
On the part that is a public good, we have to collaborate. And the cultural change is a public good. And so that's why the collaboration in education is important, because public goods are by nature expensive to deliver by private entities. And so on the part of cultural change, it's absolutely important that we come to the table together to create transformation.
The Commissioner General, Uganda Revenue Authority, John Musinguzuru-Joki, said the institution is going to sensitize the public and forge partnerships in order to enhance tax compliance. Dennis Igor for UBC Business.
Large and small-scale investors in Uganda have been asked to leverage the coming Dubai 2020 World Expo as a stepping stone to launch new global business prospects. This was at a strategic meeting hosted by the Uganda Investment Authority and Uganda Export Promotion Board at the UIA offices in Nakasero. The Expo 2020 Dubai comes at a time when multiple public and private businesses in Uganda are striving to leverage new global networks and opportunities that had been affected by the COVID-19 waves in 2020.
We should encourage our private sector, whom I've been told that have been able to share with us their project proposals with our team as UIA, because that's what we were tasked to do in the National Committee, to make sure that these private sector members spare time, despite the challenges, to go and present their proposals. This is a big opportunity.
Despite being held during a pandemic, organizers believe that the expo will go a long way in addressing Uganda's key global business gaps, like access to new markets and information on best practices.
There are about 3 or 4 key aspects of this. One, there is a country pavilion, which has been again alluded to by the director. We'll have a country pavilion, a standalone, standalone structure for the first time, because usually we are clustered in a hall together, say like with African countries or East Africa or something like that. But then this time around we'll have a standalone pavilion, which is 2-floor. On the ground floor, that is dedicated to the country exhibition, that's where we'll have the whole exhibition set up. But then the upper floor, that is dedicated to office spaces, meeting and conferencing areas.
Projected to run for 6 months from October 1st, 2021 to 31st March 2022, the expo is expected to gather millions of people and businesses around the world under the theme, Connecting Minds, Creating the Future.
Now, for us as UIA, as an investment promotion agency, that is the constituency we have targeted, and we think they can make a difference when it comes to attracting investment in this country. This is an opportunity once again as a country to appreciate what those diaspora group are doing in that region and encourage them to invest back home.
Now, as the director said, Expo 2020 Dubai, which will be taking place from 1st October, was postponed for 12 months because of the pandemic. Because, you know, we've been receiving questions, why is it still being called Expo 2020, yet it's happening in 2021?
According to the Uganda Trade Portal, Uganda exported goods worth $4.41 billion in 2018, recording gold at 37.3% as the largest export, and the United Arab Emirates, the expo's host, still remains Uganda's biggest importer. Wadulo, Arnold, UBC News. The newly elected leaders of Owino market have been urged to maintain peace and harmony and focus on the development of the market. Now, this follows the suspension of the old leadership and taxes imposed on the vendors. The new leadership was interacting with the Kampala resident city commissioner, Hudu Hussein, and warned them against being used by political propagandists.
Owino Market current leadership is looking for ways of improving livelihoods of the vendors operating in Uganda's biggest market. The acting chairperson of Owino Market, Susan Kushaba, is spearheading the drive.
We have to work for the people and to see that what the president wants is to see that this poor vendor is not squeezed, is not harassed in the market. So we were here to learn how to lead, to streamline our leadership, and the RCC really guided us very well.
This was during an interaction with the Kampala resident City Commissioner Hood Hussein. He warned them against being used by political propagandists. Exploitation of Owino market vendors made the appointing authority to sign up Susan Kushaba as the acting chairperson Owino market for its revival. With the help of the current leadership, Kushaba is in the process of ensuring that Owino market benefits the vendors without exploitation. Kushaba told the new leaders of the market that government is willing to support them fully to improve their welfare. She, however, cited some of the challenges the market is encountering.
There is still double taxation, and that double taxation is caused by some people in LOCs, because we have people in LOCs that collects money from vendors. Like when a truck comes, that person collects money from them.
Kampala resident City Commissioner Hood Hussein asserted that he is to support Susan Kushaba provided he serves the interests of the people.
The initiative of having the grassroots leadership is something that I cannot rubbish. I fully embrace it because, as we are all aware, this leadership, the leadership of this country, President Museveni and his team, believe in giving power to the people. And for the last 30 years, as we may be aware, Owino has not been having these leaders at the grassroots level. Yet it's a very big market with so many people. So when Susan came up with this kind of initiative, I thought I should embrace it.
Hood Hussein warned vendors against being used by self-seeking politicians and urged them to desist from being used, and warned critics of the market.
The focus is on development. As we are all aware, the president of this country issued a directive of ensuring that we don't allow multiple taxes in the markets. There are leaders who are exploiting the vendors in this country, overcharging them, and unfortunately, the anger is not put on these leaders. The anger is unfortunately put on the president. So when he learned of this, he definitely had to stop this. And all the former leadership has been put aside.
Owino market seems to have got the proper leadership following the zeal the acting chairperson is having to transform the market and bring it back to its former glory. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Young entrepreneurs have been encouraged to be brave and resist the misconception that government is not supportive. Instead, they should take the lead in being innovative, creative, and goal-oriented. The Commissioner Innovations at the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Patrick Mugisha, and other stakeholders were launching the Startup Uganda web portal targeting job creation for more than 3 million youth.
About 2.9% of the youths in Uganda are unemployed, according to International Labour Organization as of 2020. So many innovators have come up with different ways on how to address unemployment through different ways, but with the growing numbers, the target has not yet been shot at. It is for this reason that Startup Uganda has invented an entrepreneurship ecosystem in response to the youth's demands, with an aim of creating jobs for more than 3 million youths. It's at the launch of the Startup Uganda web portal that the Commissioner in Intellectual Property Management at Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Patrick Mugisha, urged young entrepreneurs to be aggressive.
You need to empathize with government. You're the startup person, you want to run. In your head, you think government wants to work. Engaging government does not mean that government is not going to listen to you. Biggest business you can ever get is business with government. Then let us walk this journey. Let us identify the problems, the bottlenecks. We sit down, we have dialogue, we propose solutions. But blame game, we can't win.
The biggest source of business, and I really want to say that because we tend to confuse very many young people to think that for you to survive, you must have a contract with government. Absolutely not.
Now that the entrepreneurship ecosystem has been introduced to enhance the work of innovators, researchers and entrepreneurs, the founder Nel Consulting Limited, Dennis Aguma, thinks this can work better if only government comes on board.
Have to create our own ecosystem. The ecosystem, if I go back to the original analogy of the word ecosystem, so as we embark on this journey, I want to encourage us to be brave. Some mistakes will be made because we're still trying to get this road in the middle of the jungle.
Young entrepreneurs have also been asked to be creative in relation to all these needs.
Will be the time it takes to tell our stories. At any one point, we should know what's happening in Uganda's entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Technology thing, but it's a concept applied to solving the problems that startups are meeting.
We're talking to 20 young people who cannot get a loan. You then really realize what it is to grow a business, to lose in a business.
Youths are known for wanting only jobs from the formal sector, of which the population grows bigger every day. That's why researchers are inventing more ways of creating jobs to fight unemployment in the country. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Uganda Nurses and Midwives Examinations Board has released the 2021 semester results, which were held early this year in March. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, Alex Kakoza, officiated the release of these examination results. He said that they are going to do everything possible to ensure that they improve on the quality of nurses and midwives.
Upon your acceptance to release these results, principals of training institutions will collect the candidates' results on scheduled dates. The schedule is in accordance with the observing of COVID-19 standards operating procedures that discourage overcrowding. Acknowledgement. The Chief Guest, I wish to extend sincere appreciation to you for continued moral and financial support extended by Ministry of Education and Sports to UNIMEP. In the same regard, the board extends appreciation to you and the entire staff of Ministry of Education and Sports for ensuring continuity of learning in the training institutions amidst COVID-19 pandemic challenges. I specifically acknowledge the tireless efforts of the Executive Secretary UNIMEP and her team. Please, let's clap for them. These people work almost day and night to make sure that the institution runs as expected.
I now take the honor on behalf of the Minister and First Lady, Minister of Education and Sports, to officially release the March 2021 semester examination results conducted by the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Examinations Board to the public. The Minister shall endeavor, therefore, to provide more resources to training institutions so that the numbers continue improving. When the numbers increase, it means that also UNIMEP requires more resources. And you recall, those who have been present here for some time, you recall that some 4 years back, the budget for UNIMEP was quite different. The quality of our nurses will greatly improve because nothing can give you the best skills or better skills than going on the work. These are people who have been on the work, who have been and are on the wards, and therefore when they come to interact with our learners, we can only expect improved quality from the nurses and midwives who are training. Accordingly, therefore, as I conclude, I want to thank the Ministry of Education and Sports team, the Ministry of Health, and other government ministries and departments who have worked tirelessly with UNIMEP during the preparation and conduct of the March 2021 semester examinations. I want to acknowledge the commitment of the UNIMEP board members and secretariat staff to the service of the public. I recognize the contribution of stakeholders from the training institutions and hospitals for supporting skills attainment for trainee nurses and midwives.
Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak is in the process of handing over 7 primary schools in the districts of Masaka, Chikube, Kanungu and Kakumiro respectively. This was disclosed at the official handover of the one-year club leadership tenure to the President-elect Frederick Chitakule.
The Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak has spearheaded a move of ensuring that the education sector, especially in the early childhood, is boosted in rural areas. The President-elect Club of Kampala Daybreak, Frederick Chitakule, says his leadership tenure is to focus more on education in rural areas.
And we have also partnered with Makerere University, and we are going to do a satellite early child development centers where we are going to do teacher training and to commission well-trained teachers, because the building is one thing, but what goes on in the building is actually what is very important. We are going to do economic empowerment projects around farming. We have a group of farmers in India. We are working together with the High Commission of India to get, market. Market is the challenge of all farmers across Uganda.
The club has not only been supporting education, but also led in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic by donating face masks, sanitizers in rural areas, and sensitizing the communities on the dangers of the virus.
Been able to distribute over 10,000 masks, which helped those who could not afford buying masks. This was in Katanga and Naguru. We distributed them at the start of the COVID-19.
Handing over tools of power, the outgoing president, Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, Jamson Kalemani, highlighted the challenges encountered during his leadership and was commended for transforming the lives of the underprivileged.
Biggest challenge, of course, has been COVID-19, because one of our objectives as Rotary is developing socially. So because of not meeting that component of social has died out, we cannot meet and encourage each other.
The function was graced by club governors, former presidents, Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, and club members.
For you, Frederick, the vegetables you're going to harvest will be the impact you're going to create to humanity. Cancer, HIV, malaria, diseases that affect humanity. Make sure that come rain, come sunshine, we create many zeros of this world. It is possible, it is a matter of giving yourself a commitment and say, yes, I can do it.
Deborah Namamonde, Ubc News.
Experts in the banking sector have expressed the need to equip bankers with soft skills like mindset and attitude, in the addition to the technical skills for it be operational and resilient. While officiating the 9th graduation ceremony of the Uganda Institute of Banking in Kampala, Executive Director Supervision Bank of Uganda, Dr. Tumubwene Twinamanzi, said that there has been a tendency of acquisition of papers than the mindset which education is supposed to induce.
The banking sector continues to face a challenge of professional human capital across all ranks, yet it is also rapidly changing to include core and non-core banking services to satisfy the changing needs of customers. The convergence of finance and technology to date poses a challenge in human resource, hence the need to have well-balanced talent.
This trend has resulted in a need for a well-balanced talent. This kind of environment calls for agility of our human resource and of the Institute to be able to have in place programs that support the shift.
The Deputy President, Council of Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, Gatida Kayinja, said they will start a robust continuous development program and also mobilize industry players and international partners to work with the Institute. During the 9th graduation ceremony of Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, where students graduated in various qualifications like diploma in microfinance, certified professional bankers and certified credit management, the Chief Executive Officer, Goretti Masade, expressed the need to interest degree students in arts who join banking into learning of practical numbers. This will help them be able to do data analysis and make data decisions in banking.
Much of the powers vested in me,
I hereby award to those persons whose names have been read the Certified Credit Management.
As long as the programming has been done very well by a scientist, artists will now be able to see insights and use them. However, we still need to train them to appreciate data. They need to know what data they need to make certain decisions. And then they will put that data, whatever it is, into systems and processes, especially through these platforms that will give them those reports.
The Executive Director, Supervision Bank of Uganda, Tumubwine Twinimanzi, challenged the leadership of the institution to have a shift from training students to only getting papers, but also give soft skills like mindset change.
So much about growing, it's about the skills enabling the banking sector to remain operational resilient. In the sense that when you have those who are trained to work in our banking sector, appreciative and cognizant of the changes that come along with the sector, okay? One, you are ensuring that the sector will be there tomorrow. And two, that it will increasingly begin providing products and services that are relevant to the customers in this country.
Overall, 88% of the students passed and 6 with average distinctions. Only 12 are expected to repeat the course because of poor performance. I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
And that takes us for a short commercial break. We'll return after these messages.
Today in history.
Today marks 3 years since Uganda's former Prime Minister, Apollo Nsibambi, passed on. Apollo Robin Nsibambi died on 28 May 2019 at the age of 78 years, and his death, according to a post-mortem report, was caused by a blood clot in his lungs. He was born on 25th October 1940. He served as the Dean of Faculty of Social Science at Makerere University from 1978 until 1983, and from 1985 until 1987. He was appointed head of the Department of Political Science at Makerere University in 1987, a position he held until 1990. He was the director of the Makerere Institute of Social Research from 1994 to 1996. Between 1996 and 1998, he served as a Minister of Public Service in the Cabinet of Uganda. In 1998, he was appointed Minister of Education and Sports, serving in the capacity until 1999, when he was appointed Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business in Parliament. His death was today in history.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
Mukazanyo ka chess kisoboka ebitono okufuuka ebinene. Kyekimu wano na wano. Tunula nkaliriza buli lutambula. Wandiika buli namba osobole okweteekateeka obulungi. Nga tofuddeeyo ku bunene bwa kirooto kyo. Manya nti abawanguzi b'enkya beba bakuuma ebitabo byabwe nga biyonjo. Yanjula kati ennyingi zaayo n'enfulumya.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
In efforts to improve quality assurance and Uganda's competitiveness as a tourist destination, Uganda Tourism Board is set to undertake a nationwide grading and classification exercise of hotel and accommodation facilities. As a member of the East African community, Uganda subscribes to the East African Grading and Classification Criteria, a system denoted by stars ranging from 1 to 5. The grading and classification exercise will be crowned by the awarding of star ratings to facilities found compliant to the EAC minimum standards. This is therefore a call to all accommodation and facility owners and managers to register and get licensed by UTB as a requirement and get ready for participation. For more information, visit www.utb.go.ug or email qualityassurance@utb.go.ug for details. Uganda Tourism Board, promoting tourism together.
The Uganda Bureau of Statistics, in collaboration with Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, will conduct the National Livestock Census starting on the 24th of May to the 4th of June 2021. The census is aimed at obtaining information on the structure and organization of the livestock sector and will collect data on all livestock types, breeds, and ownership by sex, land ownership, and tenure systems. The livestock census will be conducted in all the 135 districts of Uganda and will collect data from household-based firms as well as private large-scale and institutional firms. The indicators derived from the National Livestock Census will inform evidence-based planning and policy formulation. This is to inform and request all stakeholders at national, local government, sub-county, parish levels and all farmers to cooperate with enumerators and provide accurate information. For inquiries, please call 0757 779992 or 077 3317 660.
Welcome back. It's still the news tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. Now more in the news tonight. The Directorate of Industrial Training Director Patrick Byakatonda has lauded education institutions like Young Women's Christian Association for emphasizing the girl child. This was during the institution's 27th graduation ceremony in Kampala.
Over 70 tutors and principals have been oriented in the use of assessment training packages at the Uganda Association of Private Vocational Institutions Wakiso chapter. This follows an observation of the importance of vocational institutions, hence the need of equipping instructors with more skills.
Sensitizing our members of Yuga Wakiso chapter. What is the purpose of sensitizing for them? DIT received ISO certification. ISO, what does it mean? It means now our standards are not only nationally recognized, but they are internationally recognized. So a student who gets a certificate from DIT is not, but even international. So these are one
there are institutions which train, they need to have that message and then train and to ensure that the candidates are assessed and certified by a recognized body.
It was also observed that a number of trainees are failing the theory part of the assessments at different levels, and this has been attributed to training gaps of instructors.
So make regulations to guide them, to guide the training delivery, to guide the assessment and certification. When we are assessing, we subsidize for them.
However, an increasing demand for instructors at level 3 was also realized, yet most of the tutors do not have the necessary requirements to teach that level.
Challenge we have had so far is that people have a bad attitude towards the vocational education and skilling, hands-on skilling, let alone the fact that it is the only way to go in order to skill and in order to have a country that will develop very fast, like those like Japan and other countries that have developed very fast because of training on hands-on and practically doing the job of road construction, of building storage buildings and other houses and that kind of.
Challenges in the management and administration of certified assessment centers were also identified. Sudat Kaye, Henry Moganga, UBC News.
Now more to this story. The police Exodus Sacco has held its 8th annual general meeting since the new board took over in December 2019. The board chairman, Dr. Wilson Omoding, assured the police personnel continued transparency.
In 2019, police officers subscribed to Exodus Sacco experienced unprecedented occurrences over the missing books of accounts. Commissioner of Police Dr. Wilson Omoding was installed as a new board chairman to restore sanity in the Sacco operations.
IGP looked at the challenges that were facing the Sacco. One was leadership. 2, he looked at the low use of technology. 3, he looked at training and sensitization of members.
At the 8th annual general meeting of Exodus Sacco, held at police headquarters in Nagulu, managers revealed some of the attainments during the first year in office.
Sacco, as per my report there, I inherited a Sacco account which had only 93 million. But putting in consideration that withdrawals were stopped because one of the challenges that the Sacco had was liquidity position. Sacco didn't have money. All the time Sacco was operating on bank overdrafts.
Among the issues raised in 2019 by the Sacco members were limited knowledge about Sacco operations, unclear selection of board members, missing books of accounts, among others. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
On the international scene, French President Emmanuel Macron visited Rwanda this week as part of a process aimed at confronting France's past without repentance or denial. By acknowledging France's role in the 1994 Rwandan genocide, the French president sought to turn the page on 27 years of diplomatic tensions. The official visit aimed at turning the page on the persistent tensions between France and Rwanda over this tragic chapter is part of a broader policy of looking history in the face that Macron established at the beginning of his term. It is a risky exercise that has endangered both admiration and criticism.
En me tenant avec humilité et respect à vos côtés ce jour, je viens reconnaître nos responsabilités. Mais la France a un rôle, une histoire et une responsabilité politique au Rwanda. Elle a un devoir, celui de regarder l'histoire en face et de reconnaître la part de souffrance qu'elle a infligée au peuple rwandais en faisant trop longtemps prévaloir le silence sur l'examen de la vérité.
Now in the world of sports, Bull FC has beaten Proline FC in the quarterfinals first leg of this year's Stanbic Uganda Cup. The game played at the MTN Omondi Stadium. Lugogo was sorted in the first half courtesy of the goals by Vitalis Dabu and Joseph Semoju. This result puts Bull FC in the pole position before the two meet again in the second leg next week in Jinja. In other quarterfinal past leg games, Vipers SC and SC Villa ended 1-1. Express FC and KCCA was goalless, while Police away from home humbled Wakiso Giants 3-1. All these ties witness their return legs next week. Football action on Uganda Broadcasting Corporation's returns on Saturday with the FUFA Women Elite League that is at the quarter-final stage at the Technical Center in Njeru. And that brings us to the end of our bulletin this evening. Let's take a look at the headlines before we can sign out. In our headlines tonight, NUP ends FDC's honeymoon in Parliament. Police to fault officers who do not enforce SOPs. Many flock vaccination centers for their COVID-19 jab. And Bull FC edge Proline and now a semi-final slot. A long day. Thank you for being a lovely viewer. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Mugalu Mohammed on sign language. From the team, we must say have yourselves a great weekend.
In the amount of rainfall, though some other areas are still receiving slight rainfall. And by name this morning, Alwa had the highest of 18.7 millimeters, Kasese with 0.2 millimeters. Kutesa Mili with today's weather forecast. This is due to the ridging over the tip of South Africa that has pushed the rain belt far north of our country and west. That is the rainfall that we are receiving in northern part of our region, but the rest of the area it is due to the local effects. Tomorrow morning though, we expect to wake up with sunny intervals in almost every part of our country, apart from some few areas in Lake Victoria. Afternoon hour though, we expect a pick-up of light showers across the shores of Lake Victoria, but the rest of the place will continue with sunny intervals. Temperature to rise up to 31 degrees, that is northern part of our region, 30 across Jinja, and our capital city Kampala with 29, in the lowest with 25 degrees Celsius across Kabale Highlands. You is expecting to move around the globe before forecasting sunny conditions across Mombasa and Dubai with a maximum of 39 degrees in Dubai. Moscow and New York are expected to have light showers with a maximum of 12 degrees Celsius across New York. Thanks for tuning in on UBC. I remain Kutesa Mili. Stay tuned.
This weekend on UBC.
Fred Buyungo, karibu. You know karibu in Swahili?
Yeah.
You say karibu?
Welcome, madam.
Right.
So, let me start garnishing this soup.
Okay. That's how you do it. Interesting.
This garnishing is okay, is enough. You don't need to put too much.
It looks good already.
Yeah.
What is this?
That's red marrow.
Red marrow.
Yeah, Indian they call it zucchini.
Zucchini.
Yeah, zucchini.
Ah,
yeah.
zucchini, and this is a tomato.
These are just tomatoes.
Can't wait to taste.
Yes, please.
Right, what's next?
We're having our vegetable
rice.
Vegetable rice, I'll garnish with fried onions.
So that's how you do it?
Yeah, this fried onion is good when you are eating rice. It's very bringing flavor inside also.
Right.
Already mashed.
Right.